Okay, this is a pretty interesting one. Let's ignore the clear false start there. But this is interesting because one of these athletes is a long jumper and the other is a sprinter. So closest to us is Greg Rutherford, 2012 Olympic champion in the long jump. And furthest away from us is Wilfred Kofi, former Ivory Coast national record holder, the personal best of 10:01. And Greg, by the way, has a personal best in the 100 of 10:26. Probably could have been significantly faster if we'd allowed him to race a little bit more in the 100. But very different strategies here. Let's have a first look at what they look like at set. And obviously they've, very similar coaching philosophies here. Coached almost the exact same way. I coached Kofi and Dan coached Greg, and I helped Greg with some of his sprinting. So the shapes and the positions here, really similar. I'd say that both of these positions at set are pretty good. Maybe Kofi could raise his hips a little bit higher. Maybe that front shin angle's a little bit low, but not bad. It's a slight lean forward, armpits on top of the line. You can see as the hands leave the track, they're probably going to be propelled straight forward. So the head going forward as it comes up with Kofi there. Let's watch Greg. Does the head go forward as it comes up? Sure does. So pretty good. What we don't want to see is the head just come straight up and then go forward. Should be happening simultaneously, as we see with both of them. We should see fairly minimal knee drop. So as the hand pushing us towards the floor, so the front knee or the knee of the foot that's on the front pedal will drop towards the ground as the hands come off the ground. Just a little bit. We'll probably generally see that happen, somewhere, with good sprinters. So if they've in a good position or the appropriate position at set, probably about 5 degrees is what we'll see as the drop. And with Wilfred there, that's probably what we see, Wilfred Kofi. Probably 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 degrees on that knee drop as it goes down. And Greg, maybe a little bit more than that, probably close to 7 or 8 or 9 degrees on the drop. But pretty good. With some of the weaker athletes or ones that don't time the push quite appropriately enough, you could see sometimes 15 or 20 degree drop, and that knee just rolls forward and then they push out of this angle, which is really way too low. But these guys are both pretty good on that. So we'll see. Let's focus on Wilfred first. That's the guy in the yellow. So pretty classic early acceleration mechanics, really. It's kind of a nice scoop for such a tall and elastic guy. He's actually a really good starter. Good meaning, fairly fast, effective to 10, 20, and 30 meters in this sense. Wilfred was 6'2", or still is 6'2", I assume. But a nice low to high scoop with the feet, and then it starts cycling around his third or his fourth step. With Greg, very different, right? Greg's a jumper, really elastic, so he starts cycling almost right away. He just wants to bounce. The ratio or the relationship between ground contact and ground contact time and flight time is going to be biased towards flight time almost immediately with Greg. Where with Wilfred, spends significantly more time on the ground, a little bit less time in the air, and then builds and builds and builds. Where Greg goes air almost immediately. And that's more just an adaptation to the type of work that he does and the type of jumper that he is. Like, he's very elastic. So he just sort of just pegs off and just bounces off of each step. Doesn't have to push a lot. He just applies incredible amounts of forces really early in the contact. But for him, extremely effective, right? Well, Wilfred's got out on him here because of the false start. But after that, Greg's kind of keeping up with him. And if anything, and if I remember correctly, I think Greg actually took Wilfred to school a little bit on this day and beat him on most of these starts, which is really interesting. But the rest of it, pretty good. Really good projection on the first step off the pedal. Appropriate placement of the front foot. Looks balanced looks cohesive, looks harmonic. Everything's kind of smooth. It looks good. Generally, if it looks good, it is good. These are good shapes, good patterns, good angles. These are both very good starts. We've got maximum projection, getting into the rhythm pretty quickly, and then rhythmically rising the center mass over the course of the rest of the acceleration.